that they can be caught up. That's fine. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to WordPress for Beginners, or WordPress 101. This is a very basic class about WordPress itself, but also about a lot of the general topics that go with building a simple business website. So we're going to discuss a lot of these issues that are kind of outside the idea of WordPress, but it's mostly content is concentrated on WordPress itself. Who am I? My name is Gary. I run a small web development business, which is called PCQB WordPress Solutions. This is my web address, my email, phone number, whatever. One of the kind attendees here has passed out my business card. If you want one, there's still some more over here. I offer a wide variety of WordPress services, which I won't necessarily get into right now, but I do offer also one-on-one training, and I teach these classes at various different places around Long Island. So here, libraries, whatever. So if you go to this URL, pcqb.com/class notes, there will be information there referencing things that we talk about during this class, links to videos of me giving this class here and other places and other classes that I've given. So if you sat here with me for 2 hours and you just didn't have enough of me, you need to have more, you can go here and there's more information there, references of things, whatever, links. So if you missed something here, go there. There's also a form there, which if you like this class and you want to give me some feedback, or you didn't like this class and you want to give me some feedback, you can go there. There's a form there, fill it out. I'm very interested to know how this came off to you and any suggestions or questions that you might have. So I want to talk a little bit about the classes that I give. So this is WordPress 101, WordPress for Beginners. The intro class is the class you're having right now. So there are 3 more classes, a total of 4 classes in this series. There's WordPress 102, WordPress Content Management, which centers on content management, search engine optimization, and things of that nature. We will cover some of those topics here, but it's a more in-depth. WordPress 103, which is WordPress Site Management, which deals more with security themes, a lot of the technical things of the day-to-day running of the website that doesn't involve actually adding things to the site. And WordPress 104, Site and Page Layout, which is still a theoretical course because I have not actually written it yet. But this will involve, should anyone particularly be interested in it, and I get around to writing it, laying out a website using WYSIWYG Builder, soup to nuts. So, okay. So we're going to talk a lot. What is this supposed to be about? We're going to talk about what WordPress is, some history, advantages and disadvantages, how to get started, various types of content that you can add to your WordPress website, add-ons, themes, and plugins. And then once we're done, we'll have a little tour. I have a live WordPress website that I've set up that is a clean install, and we'll just log into it, and I'll show you what it looks like. We'll go over a few of the things, whatever. So I like to kind of hopefully plan to for this class to take about an hour and a half, and then have Q&A afterwards. Doesn't always work that way. Usually we go right up to the end. So if anybody has any questions while we're actually doing this, certainly feel free to shoot them up here. If it's something I can answer quickly, we'll do it. If it's something that's kind of out of the scope or requires more something in depth, I'll have to ask you to ask me a question later on, or maybe after the class. Okay. All right. So WordPress. What is it? Why should you use it? What is it about? What does it mean? What is it? So. Okay. So in the early days of the web, which I was there at the beginning, people wanted to make a website. The only way to make a website was to edit files manually and upload them. Each page on your website is an HTML or HTML file if you're on broken Windows equipment. Global changes were difficult, so basically you would open up your text editor, for which a lot of people use just basic Microsoft Notepad or something similar. You would type in your HTML, you would save it, you would get on your program, you would upload it to the website, and that was how things worked. Still a lot of that. A lot of websites today are still run like that. So there were a lot of issues with this. First of all, you wanted to make changes globally, you wanted to change your logo globally, you wanted to change your phone number globally, you wanted to change the menu if you even had one. It required a lot of work where necessarily you have to go into each individual file, change things, whatever. You had to know HTML to do it properly, and you had to know all the tricks. So it was even if you had a WYSIWYG builder like Dreamweaver or something like that, it was difficult. So, then came WordPress. What is it? WordPress is a content management system. What does that mean? It means the content is stored not in individual files like you would in an old style website, but it's stored in a database. So there are no pages on the website per se, you know. So if you have a, say like an about page, right? There's no about.html on the server. There's no about page you can look at, right? It's all stored in a MySQL or MariaDB database. And the WordPress program, when you go to a page on the website, you say, all right, let me go to, you know, whatever, example.com/about, right? The WordPress program goes into the database, says where's the about page, pulls it out, and presents it and renders it to you on the fly. So, what does this do for us? Well, first of all, everything's in the database. We can search it much more easily, right? You can just say, I'm looking for whatever. I'm looking for the about page, or I'm looking, I'm looking for a recipe, or I'm looking for whatever. Whatever your website is about, people can just search it. Changes can be made on the fly. So, something that people don't necessarily even get, even people who work with WordPress for a long time, you can change the look of the website with a couple of clicks. And if you know what you're doing, it's the same exact website, all the content is still there, but now you can change the whole thing. You can change the colors, you can change the logo, you can change the layout, everything just kind of like flows, and if you're going to know what you're doing. And of course, features and capabilities can be added. The amount of features and capabilities for WordPress, the things that you can add on, and we'll talk about that later, is kind of endless. The amount of things that you can make a WordPress website do are really almost staggering. A lot of people think about it in terms of a business website, and that's certainly true, or e-commerce, and that's certainly true. I've done that, but there's all sorts of interesting things you can just add on if you're interested. Okay. WordPress runs, and this number changes every day. So I don't know if this is, whatever, but it's a large amount, roughly a third, in that range. A lot of big websites, so people think, hey, a WordPress website means you're some small business, you're some nobody, whatever. There are websites that are that serve millions of pages a day, that serve millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of visitors on a monthly basis that run WordPress. The same software, with maybe a few tweaks, but the same exact software that you can get, install, and use for your website, and it's all whatever. So WordPress is tremendously powerful, and it's used all over the world by everybody. And there are upsides and downsides to that. You're late. I know, but it's okay. I can abuse him a little bit. All right. So we talked a little bit about advantages and disadvantages, the old way, how to do it, the new way, things are a little bit better. Okay. So what are the advantages of WordPress, and why should you pick it as your content management system for your blog, for your website, for your business, whatever? So what are the advantages? First of all, it's free, and we're going to talk about free later, but free is great. And anybody, and it's free in a lot of different ways that we'll discuss later. WordPress is well supported. It is well supported in a lot of different ways. It's well supported so you can always find somebody there. A lot of people know how to use WordPress. So if you get stuck, there are a lot of people you can ask. There's a lot of support as far as features and add-ons. So if you're looking for a particular type of thing for your website to do, a certain payment gateway, a certain way to add things to the website, a certain way to make it do things that you may want it to do, it's almost certain that someone has written some software for you to do that. that you don't have to go out and say, I'm going to hire a programmer to make this happen. Someone's already done it. And if you can find that software, whether it's free software or something you have to pay for, it's there and it's available for you to use. And it is easy to use, okay? Despite the fact that you all feel compelled to come here on this morning and listen to me yak at you about how to use WordPress, the fact is that it is easy to use. And once we talk about it some, you'll see that. You saw that you used it. It's well set up. It's intuitive, I think. And once you kind of learn the basics of it, it's easy to kind of go on your own and do what you need to do. All right, disadvantages of WordPress security, okay? I didn't include this slide, but someone posted it on my WordPress group Facebook page, and something like 90% of all content management system websites that are hacked around the world are WordPress websites. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Some reasons is that, in fact, because it is so popular, the value of learning how to hack it is high, right? You understand? So if you use some system that nobody else uses, right, or something that you've written yourself or whatever, hackers aren't going to spend a lot of time learning how to hack that particular system because there's not a lot of value there, unless you're specifically a target that they want to get to. If you have some rarely used content management system or something like that. But WordPress, because of its popularity, a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to hack it. Because once they can hack something in WordPress, they can hack a lot of different websites. So that's one reason why there are security issues. The other issue is that basically, because it is so easy to use and so many people use it, they just use it and then they just leave it. They don't pay attention to it. And that's something that you absolutely cannot do. If you have a WordPress website, you have to pay attention to it, you have to update it, you have to monitor it. If you don't, someone will eventually find it and they will, and it will be a bad day for you. The other things about WordPress is that there are so many features that people sometimes get lost. People can be a little overwhelmed by how many things there are to do in WordPress that they don't necessarily know where to get started. And it is a little bloated. If you're looking for the most efficient, fastest content management system way to present your website, WordPress is not necessarily the way. There are ways around this. There are ways to tune and tweak your website for speed, but it requires some effort. It's not out of the box. It's a little, if you're serving a website which has like 100,000 page views a month, something you're definitely going to need to get, some higher end, some higher end hosting or some higher end someone to look at your website and tweak it well, or both, probably both. Okay. So this is something I like to talk about because this is something that confuses a lot of people about WordPress. There is WordPress.com, which you may have seen advertised. I think they had a Super Bowl ad last year. So WordPress.com, and there's WordPress.org. What are the differences between two of these, and what should you pick? Okay. So WordPress.org is what we're going to discuss today. That is basically the not-for-profit organization that develops WordPress that you can download and install on your system for free because it is free software. To use WordPress.org, you must have your own hosting, you must do your own install or pay somebody to do it, and you must monitor and take care of it and look after it because it is only your responsibility. WordPress.com is a website, it's a service. It's no different, in a lot of ways, it's no different than something like Squarespace or Wix or one of those other kind of things that we can talk about later on. It is a service that you buy. They take care of all the updates and maintenance for you. Okay, it's all managed. It's a completely managed service that you don't necessarily have to touch at all. There's some free-ish. It's free-ish, like a lot of it's free like a mobile like those free mobile games are free. it's free, but there are things that they would like to sell you. So WordPress.com, you can get a free WordPress.com website, which would be, say, for instance, you had a business, so you had Joe's Dry Cleaner. You could have joesdrycleaner.wordpress.com, and that's free. If you wanted joesdrycleaner.com, and you wanted to run it on WordPress.com, you have to buy a package from them. They charge you for that, plus you have to buy the domain. Okay? They're very restrictive in what you can run there. Right? They have a very short list of approved add-ons that you are allowed to use, and this includes add-ons such as themes and plugins, which we'll discuss later. So basically, they have a certain limited list of things that you're allowed to do with your website that they have investigated and vetted for their security and for yours, and those are the only ones you're allowed to use. If you have your own WordPress website, you can install whatever you like. You can go to WordPress.org to the themes directory and download any theme you want. You can download any plugin you want. You can buy plugins off of whatever, off of various places where you can buy them. You can do whatever you like. You can hack the code. It's all completely up to you. Whereas WordPress.com is whatever. So that the main thing to understand about these things is that WordPress.com is a company. It's a service. Okay, it's something you buy. WordPress.org is the software itself that you use in any way that you want. I think most people, this is what we're going to talk about here, WordPress.org. That's what we cover here in this class, and that's what I normally deal with. But there are some people who really like the .com, and a lot of the things we're going to talk about here will be applicable. A lot of how to run it, how to do things will be applicable to WordPress.com as well. And yes?
When you talked about security,
yeah.
Okay, with WordPress.com, is there more of a security protection there for you?
Yes.
About
Yes.
your company?
Yes. Yes. It's more, not, because everything is very locked down. We'll talk a little bit more about security in a bit. But yes, WordPress.com does have more security for someone who is concerned about that and doesn't want someone else to take care of it. I mean, nothing is 100%. Things can always be hacked. But this WordPress.com involves, them managing things completely for you. So that's generally where the issues come in with WordPress security. So that you don't have to worry about that. The security itself is mostly taken care of.
What do they charge WordPress?
You have to look. I think their basic package is $99 a year, but don't quote me on that. I haven't looked at their pricing in a long time. If you go to WordPress.com and you click on pricing, that's whatever. I mean, you always have to pay for something, right? If you have WordPress, if you have your own hosted website, you have to pay for your own hosting and that sort of thing. So nothing is free, right? It's just all depending on how much you want to pay and who you want to pay, and how much control you want to have over your own website, right? Yes.
If you're doing an e-commerce type of website or a business that involved e-commerce, would you suggest WordPress.com or WordPress.org? Does it make a difference?
It does. I prefer WordPress.org. I'm always, all of my clients are on that, and I think that it gives you more flexibility. I haven't run a I've worked with websites on .com, but nobody who's run an e-commerce website there. I actually don't know how that would work out. That probably is more expensive, and you really need to look into that. As I said, things are very limited as what you can install. One of the things about an e-commerce website, which is a little bit out of the scope of this, we'll talk about it, is that you need to have a reasonable number of things that you add on top of it. You really can't run an actual e-commerce website just out of the box with WordPress and the WooCommerce. You need to have payment gateways, you need to have shipping, you need to have, there's all manner of things. And so it's nice to have a better selection of those things when you're setting up your website, the ones that work best with your particular, how you sell your products or services or whatever you're doing with it. In the .com space, you're going to be limited probably to official WooCommerce plugins, which is also owned by WordPress.com. They own like everything. It's a little scary almost.
Do they own Yoast?
They don't own Yoast, but they do own WooCommerce. WordPress.com, just to let you know real quick, the company that the guy who owns WordPress.com, he helped create WordPress.org, and WordPress.org owns the trademark WordPress. which they license to WordPress.com. But the guy who is in charge of WordPress.com is also in charge of WordPress.org. It's a little bit of, it's kind of incestuous, and a lot of people are unhappy about that. There are things that have changed in WordPress over the past year or so that there are people who are like me are unhappy about, and they feel that they've been changed in WordPress.org to kind of feed back into WordPress.com and to make it more palatable for certain types of users, and they don't really care so much about the small business users who are doing the .org.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's $25 a month for business. They
Yeah.
have I just looked up WordPress.com. But I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
that includes this. And then, but if you really want your website to work, then you need this, this, and this, and all of a sudden it's like $300.
So let's,
Yeah.
I want to kind of move on because, I understand. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of add-ons here. They can really nickel and dime you a lot. So it's important to, when you're looking at any kind of solution for your business, it's always important to look at all of the consumables, right? What are the complete fees from soup to nuts, not just to look at the top line price. What other things are you going to need before you get started? And okay, I think we're going to move on from here because this I could talk to you for 2 hours about this, and there's a lot of other stuff we need to talk about. All right, so if WordPress isn't for you, what can we do? Okay, so there are services you can sign up for. Squarespace is a big one, right? You see them advertised everywhere. Wix, Weebly, Jimdo, there's literally a zillion of them. They're very similar in a lot of ways to WordPress.com, right? They offer similar kinds of solutions. It's all a service. You never have to install anything. They manage everything for you, but you still have to make the website. Frankly, there are a lot of crappy websites in Squarespace, and there are a lot of really crappy websites in all of these. So I have a business directory that I built for Babylon Village, and I had to look at all of the websites for all the restaurants in Babylon as I was building it. And it's amazing how many people just they build something and then they have no idea what they've done. They've taken some template, whatever. But you can certainly use these, and a lot of people like them because they're easy, and they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about anyone coming and hacking their website, unless someone hacks the whole service, which is unlikely. There are also a lot of self-hosted solutions which are similar to WordPress.org. Drupal is a big one. Drupal is a huge CMS which is very popular in Europe. And there are some things that Drupal does that WordPress really can't do, or it makes it difficult to do. But Drupal is a bear to work with. I've tried to work with it. So if you need Drupal for something that you're going to work on, good luck. Joomla was around kind of before WordPress and was very popular for a long time. It's similar to WordPress in a lot of ways, different in a lot of ways. There are support for different types of theming type things for Joomla and add-ons. A lot of people like it. I don't know. I think that today there's not any really good reason to pick it, but there are also a lot of legacy websites that use Joomla. Static HTML, like we talked about before. A lot of companies still use static HTML, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially for companies that may need, say, like a one-page website, and that's all they want. They just want one page, everything's on that page, and they have like sub things where you can click on inside the page and out, and they just want to build it in regular HTML, and then it's up there, and they never have to worry about it again. So there are a lot of good reasons to pick that if your website is very simple. You just want something simple, 1 or 2 pages, and you don't want anything else. Static HTML generators. So there are programs, which we won't get into here, but there are programs that basically they're kind of a Frankenstein monster of WordPress and static HTML. You create your site in a kind of WordPress type environment, similar to WordPress, not WordPress, but similar to it. And then you push a button, and then it creates all the pages for you, and then you just upload it, and then you never have to worry about it again. Right? So there are some advantages to that. For instance, if you need to change things, you can just edit and then re-upload. But obviously, you don't get a lot of that functionality that you would with a full content management system. And there are plenty of small players of whatever. You can go crazy if you look up stuff. So there's a lot of alternatives. After discussing this today and talking about WordPress, if you find that WordPress is not for you, which is fine, you can investigate any of these other solutions for your business or for your personal website. There are a lot of different things that you can do. All right, I want to talk a little bit about WordPress and Freedom. I tend to go on about this a lot, so I'll try and do this quickly. So WordPress is free. What does that mean? WordPress is free. There are two different types of freedom when we talk about free software. There's free as in free beer. Someone gives you a beer, here's a free beer. It's free, I don't have to pay for it. And there's freedom as in speech, as in you can say whatever you want, no one can stop you from doing it, okay? Not all free software is free in both of these ways. So for instance, if you download tools from Microsoft, from their website, Microsoft has all sorts of free tools you can download that you can install on your Windows machine to do Process Explorer, different types of things. Those things are free as in beer.
I'm not sure when. I might have to get back to you about that.
So you can download those programs and you can use them, but they don't really belong to you, right? Microsoft, you can't take those programs and resell them. You can't hack them and change them. And someday Microsoft could take those programs down because they don't want you to have them anymore. And so now they're gone. So free, it's free, you don't have to pay for it, but it's necessarily free, you can do anything. And then there's free as in free speech. And so free software is free as in free speech, which is that you can do whatever you want with it. You can download WordPress, you can use it however you like. You can change the code, you can give it to somebody. You can share it with anyone. And so WordPress and all the things that kind of go around WordPress are free as in speech, and you can use them however you like. And this is really great for a lot of reasons, especially if WordPress goes in a direction that people don't like. You can just take that code, and people have, because there are things going on in the WordPress, in the WordPress politics that are kind of complicated, and just say, okay, I'm going to make a new program, and I'm going to call it Classic Press, and you can use I'm taking out all the things I don't like that is in WordPress, and you can use my program, and I can just take all that code and make it free, and you can use it, and so. You always know that you can do things and fix things. If you dedicate yourself to the WordPress ecosystem, there will always be something that you can use to make it go. All right, does that make sense? Make sense to go? WordPress is developed, is a open source, which means that it's developed by the community, and individual people contribute different bits and pieces to it, and then it's given free to everybody to use. And so that's part of the ethos of WordPress, is to give back, to give to the community, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I do this, which is to give back, right? So I'm not the world's best programmer, so I'm not going to be contributing to the WordPress core, but in this way I contribute to the community by teaching people about it. Okay, so we've talked a lot about WordPress for, half an hour. So let's talk about actually how to use it. How do we get started? All right, so we're going to talk a little bit, before we get started, security. So we discussed a little bit about security before. So what are the keys to WordPress security? These are very important. So, keys to WordPress security is, number one, keep your website updated. Number two, also keep your website updated. Number three, keep your website updated. I cannot stress this enough. Almost every website, the WordPress website that gets hacked anywhere, is because they have either WordPress itself, but more likely than not, the add-ons and extensions that you add on to WordPress to make it do cool stuff, they were not updated. Someone finds a vulnerability or an exploit that lets them get in, and then they're in your website and they have it. Okay. If you keep your website updated and you keep all of your plugins and themes, everything that goes along with WordPress updated, 98% of your security issues go away. I kid you not. There was a plugin that a lot of people like to use called Revolution Slider. It's really awesome. You can make all sorts of interesting slideshows and animations for your website. Those kind of when you go to the website, you see the picture slideshow and the text comes out. It's very neat. Slider Revolution. So this software is installed on tens of millions of WordPress websites all around the world. maybe even more than that. It comes standard with a lot of themes that you buy for WordPress. And so this software was quite frankly hacked. People could just basically hack in, upload things to your website, and then run arbitrary code, and then their website belongs to you. And many, many websites were hacked because of this. And if you remember, there was a scandal a couple years back about some banking transactions down in Panama where things had become exposed. That website was hacked because of Revolution Slack. So it's no joke. This is the key to WordPress security.
When
So the last, I'm sorry, yes.
when you say update, is it just downloads or things that?
We'll discuss the updates a little bit, but yes. And the last thing for good work, other thing for WordPress security is to use a good password. And this is something that I cannot stress, and this is important not just for WordPress, but for cybersecurity in general, okay? Do not use the same password for everything. I realize that this is difficult for a lot of people, but honestly, this is the way that things get hacked. Not just your WordPress website, but everything in your life, your bank, your whatever. So I need to tell you, I need to do a little confession. I run a website called Big Blue Interactive, which is a football forum, the biggest and most popular Giants fan forum that exists currently. So we have thousands and thousands of users, we have millions and millions of page views, whatever. So back in 2013, we got hacked because there was a bug in my code and people were able to download all the passwords that people had used on this website, whatever. And so I apologized, I said I was sorry, these things happen. I mean, some of the things I did were maybe not the best, but people get hacked all the time. And so people complained, they said, what am I going to do now? The password I used on your football forum is the same password I use for my bank. And I'm like, I feel bad, but whose fault is that? Anyway, so have different passwords for different things. The best thing to do, there's a program called LastPass. You can keep all your passwords in there. You can install it on your phone. You don't have to, you can install it as a web browser extension. You can have different randomly generated passwords for every single website that you use. And that's what I use. And I suggest that, or something like KeePass or Dashlane. There are a lot of password managers that you can use. And this is an important thing for security for everything in your life, not just this. There are bad people out there who want to take your stuff. Please don't let them.
First one you said?
LastPass.
Last.
You can use index cards too. If you just-
You can keep a little notebook in your wallet, whatever makes you happy, honestly. The most important thing is not to use the same password for everything. And generally not to use the same password for anything, although even I don't do that because there are times that things that are not really amenable to LastPass and I have to type them in. And so I have to, everyone has to make an evaluation on their own of security versus convenience, right?
So, quick question. I believe Google Analytics is how you can see how many people are hitting your website?
Yes.
And early on, when I had a very simple password, I had like thousands in a day.
Yeah.
And I quickly changed it to like a really long, every character, every letter, uppercase, lowercase, because I believe they were somebody was,
Trying to hack it.
yeah.
Someone suggested use a phrase, like if you're, red,
Yeah.
white, and blue, or.
Don't use a common phrase.
Yes.
And that's the thing also is that it's a little bit outside so to pick a good password you should use uppercase lower letters, lowercase letters, a number, and preferably a non-alphanumeric character like a star or exclamation point or at or whatever. Some mix of things that you can remember so that you whatever. But don't use things that are obvious, okay? Don't use capital P, the @ SSSWRD #1. I swear to God that's in a million things. People think, oh, it's good, it's whatever. No, people know what that is. Use something that's more random. Something that means something to you but kind of different. All right. Okay. So to get started with WordPress, you're going to need, and we're going to discuss these things, a domain name and a hosting account. Okay, we'll discuss what those things are and how to get them. But If you just want to try it, if you just want to try WordPress, you don't want to pay money yet, you want to try it out, see if it works, whatever, this is a great software product, and it's also free. This is called Local by 5 Flywheel. Here's the URL. If you go to my class notes page, it's also there linked. I don't get any money from them. I like them a lot. So Flywheel is a managed hosting thing, and one of the things they do to promote their service is they give out this. So you can install this locally on your machine, on your laptop, on your desktop, whatever. And then you can boot up an instance of WordPress, and you can play with it. And you can do everything with it that you could do with WordPress on a server. You can install software, you can configure things, you can see how it looks, and you can play with it to your heart's content. You can break it, you can fix it. So if you want to try and see what WordPress is like, and you don't want to do it out in public, out in the cloud before anyone sees it, this is a great product. It's, like I said, it's free, and it runs on almost all Windows laptops, and I think it runs on Macs too. I think there's a Mac version as well.
Is it time limited?
No, it is completely free and not time limited. The only thing is it only runs on your local machine, so you can't use anything. So Flywheel, we'll talk a little bit about hosting in a bit, but Flywheel gives you this because they offer, if you buy Flywheel, the Flywheel hosting, you can connect it to and work locally on your machine with this, and just basically update your Flywheel account, which is quite nice. You can do that also if you don't have Flywheel, but it requires a certain little bit more amount of savvy and understanding about what you're doing. It's not just one click. It's 4 or 5 clicks. Yes.
That will only run WordPress, or would it run also any PHP?
This, I think, just runs only WordPress. You can get the virtual machine that this is installed on should actually run PHP. It does install PHP, so you could, I think technically you could, if you were looking to do a PHP development environment, you could use this. This is specifically tuned for WordPress, but I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to just, if you wanted to run PHP programs.
Well, because WordPress is PHP, isn't it?
Right, it is. But you can certainly just download PHP and run it locally on your machine. There's Windows versions of PHP as well. Okay, so domain names. This is very, very basic, but I like to talk about it because I find that a lot of people don't really understand what a domain name is, and so I like to discuss it a little bit. So a domain name is the name of your website, right? So let's say if your website is joesdrycleaning.com, joesdrycleaning.com is your domain name, okay? What happens in the way the internet works is that if someone types in joesdrycleaning.com, it goes out to an internet device called a name server. It says, okay, tell me the IP address, which is the actual numerical address of the website, and says, tell me the IP address of this joesdrycleaning.com. It gives it back to your computer. Your computer says, okay, this is where we're going, and you go to that website. Now, these days you can have a lot of websites that go to the same IP address. The server understands when you say, I'm giving you this number, and I'm also giving you this domain name, where to send you, because that's the way the software is set up. That way you can conserve domain names. But the domain name is your business on the internet. I cannot stress this strongly enough. Control of your own domain name is the most important thing for any business doing their online thing, because the domain name is yours. It should belong to you. And I've had a lot of clients who have signed up with shady people who've done their website. And when I say shady, sometimes these shady companies are huge companies that I could tell you, and you would know who they are. And so they set up a website. They set up a website for this for their business. They say, okay, we'll do all this for you. We'll buy you a domain name, and we'll just include it in the price. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. I don't even have to worry about that stuff. They're taking care of it all for me. Then you realize, okay, now they're charging me $100 a month for this, and I could get the same service for $5 a month from GoDaddy. So why am I paying you $100 a month? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take my website, everything you built for me, and I'm just gonna move it, whatever. And they say, no, we own this domain name. joesdrycleaning.com is ours. And if you want it back, well, you're gonna have to give us a lot of money because they bought it, and they're not gonna give it back to you. So all the goodwill that you built up with joesdrycleaning.com, all the visitors, all the Google, all the Google juice you may have, all the links, all that stuff, that is connected to the domain name. If you start up joesdrycleaningservice.com, you're starting from zero. All those people who knew your company from before, now you have to do that work all over again. If a company, if you lose the website itself, all the pages, all that stuff can all be recreated. You can build that stuff again, either from your own knowledge or, based on historic history from the internet or whatever. You can build that stuff. It can be a little painful, but you can build it. You can recreate it. But if your domain name is gone, it's gone, and you've lost all that. Yes?
Could you redirect? Like if you have a company that owns that name, okay, and then you say, you know what, it's my business, I want to redirect this data to another site. So can you then own the domain name of that other site?
Well, so yes, you can do that, but the thing is that if the company that owns your domain name doesn't want to help you, then you're out of luck. You can say, please redirect it to my new website, and they can say, I'm sorry, that's you'll need to give us a lot of money, or we'll just. And honestly, that sounds like a bad thing. There are worse things than that. Okay. One of my clients told the story of the next door, the business that was next to them. They had a domain name where it was purchased through a web developer who had made the site for them, and they had a falling out, as happens in business sometimes. And so instead of just turning the domain name off, they redirected it to a site that you wouldn't want your customers to go to. Let's just say that. And that was basically a way to kind of extort them the money, because every time they went to this person's website, they saw things that they really didn't want to see. So to reiterate and just to re-stress, buy your own domain name, keep it for yourself. If you hire someone to do your website, make sure to say, listen, I'm going to buy my own domain name. I'm going to keep my own account. And you just, whatever, I'll change the thing. Because as long as you own that, you basically own, you own everything. This is your whatever. Everything else that's part of your internet presence can go away, right? If you have a nice Facebook page, that can go away, right? If you have a lot of Twitter followers, that's great, that can go away. YouTube, there are plenty of YouTubers out there who have lost their channels because of nonsense from YouTube. That can all go away. The domain name is yours. As long as people know this is who you are, they can always find you. So make sure you own it. Okay, web hosting. What is web hosting, and what kind of web hosting should you buy? Okay, so there are two general large categories of web hosting, and then there's managed hosting. We talked about Flywheel, WP Engine. Managed hosting is similar, but not the same as WordPress.com. Okay, they manage stuff for you in a way that you don't have to necessarily worry about a lot of the nitty-gritty. They do a lot of the updates. They monitor things. Things go wrong. They do backups all the time. If things go wrong, they can just whatever. So these companies, the Flywheel and WP Engine and a bunch of other similar kind of companies, provide that service. Okay. In a lot of ways, it's similar to services that I provide, although I don't, the services like I do manage, I will have like an unmanaged hosting and then do the add management piece on top. So the advantage of these managed hosting is that there's a lot less for you to do. They do everything for you. Everything's all set up. The website's all ready to go. They have a nice dashboard, boom, and if you have any problems, they're usually pretty good to help you. You still have to build the website yourself, right? You still have to have someone do it. But they do a lot of that stuff for you. Unmanaged hosting, like SiteGround or A2 Hosting, or even my company, although I don't really sell the unmanaged hosting so much anymore, basically you're on your own, okay? There's tech support, they'll help you, but you're responsible for managing your own thing. So you say, oh, why would I ever get unmanaged hosting? Why would you ever get unmanaged hosting instead of managed hosting? What do you think?
Because you have your own web development.
No, because this costs a lot more money. A lot more money, okay? I have a client who just went to WP Engine, and her hosting costs just like quadrupled at least. And if her website gets, becomes popular and a lot of people start visiting it, her costs will go up even more. They have a very strict, they charge you per page view, which isn't really a thing anymore except in the managed hosting. So there's can be a big expense. But it can also be good if you don't mind paying it. If your website is kind of small and doesn't get a lot of traffic and you just don't want to bother with it, this can be a very good solution for you, right? You don't have to worry so much. These give you a little bit more, flexibility, and they're cheaper. So.
But don't you need somebody to manage it?
It depends. You can manage it yourself, or you can hire someone to manage it, right? So it all depends on what your, whatever. You still, honestly, my client who's on WP Engine, she still pays me to manage it because even though their management solution is good, her website is her business, right? So my client sells SAT, ACT prep materials and sells them through her e-commerce website. So the website is the most important thing to her, right? This is where she makes all her money. So she pays me to manage it. She also pays WP Engine to manage it, and then she's got like an SEO person and a graphics person and whatever. So this costs her a lot of money, but as in anything, I need to spend money to make money, and there's a lot of cost involved, and it's important that the website run well. Questions? All right, so web hosting companies to avoid. This is only a small list, and I just want to tell you, GoDaddy is not on this list. And people always ask me about GoDaddy and say, "Do you like GoDaddy?" The list is on. There's a link on my class notes page, to the full list of this. These are just a few of them.
Where is the link?
If you go, at the end there'll be another thing. It's PCQB.com/classnotes, and all of the notes, a lot of stuff that we talk about here today will be linked on there. The things that you can link to and whatever, and then the form. So, what's wrong with these companies? So there's a company called Endurance International Group, which has bought up, a lot of these companies used to be small, independent web hosting companies, and they basically got bought out by a big conglomerate. And what they do is they basically hollow them out. They pack a lot of the websites on single service, so you don't have a lot of resources. They don't give you good tech support, and there are a lot of issues where people have had problems with where the company said, "Oh yeah, we need to, you have some security issues, and if you want us to fix them, it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars." So it's a lot of issues with that. So just be careful. These companies here, SiteGround and A2 Hosting, are both great. A2 Hosting is a company that I actually buy my hosting from, which I resell on my company. But these two companies are really good, and there are a few more. I have a few more linked on my website as well. Okay, so we've got a domain name, we've got our host, we're all set up. Now how do we get started with WordPress? Okay, so there's this idea in WordPress of the 5-minute install. This has kind of gone away, mostly. But because the 5-minute install requires a lot of information and a lot of knowledge that most people just really don't have. You need to understand FTP, you need to understand things about databases and how they work. There's a lot of work to be done there, even though it's only a few minutes. Back in the day, this was a big thing for WordPress because a lot of the content management systems required hours and hours to get things up and running. Where if you had some technical knowledge, you could do it in 5 minutes. Auto install, if you get a good web host, and it's not a managed web host, most of them now just come with some sort of software installer where you can click on it and it will just automatically install WordPress for you. I would definitely encourage you to get such a web host because it makes life a lot easier. You just go into your control panel, you click on the software, you say I like WordPress, install it here, and it's done. Okay. This is the 5-minute install, just if anybody wants to know what it looks like. This is what you have to do for your 5-minute install. So it's not, there are a lot, it requires a reasonable amount of knowledge to do. So I encourage everyone to use the auto install, it's just much nicer. Okay, so we've installed WordPress, and we want to add some content. What kind of content can we add to WordPress? I titled this part of the class, in the beginning there was the post, because that's literally what it is, okay? We're going to talk about different types of content that you can add to WordPress. There's posts, there's pages, there are products, and then if you add on more things, there are projects, and there's, you can have, clients, and you can have employees, and there's lots of different ways to kind of add types of content to WordPress using software and different types of programming. But in the beginning there was the post, and the truth is that every type of WordPress content is at its heart a post. That's why when we talk about these custom content types, they're called custom post types, because posts were what was originally around with WordPress, and everything has been added on top. But the two main types of content, and the two that come installed with WordPress out of the box, are pages and posts. And this is important to understand when you're developing a website, the difference between these two types of content, because these are the two main types of content we're going to be working with. Okay? So, pages. Pages are static content. Okay? So your about page, your directions page, your contact page, your services page. Okay, that's a page you want people to keep coming back there. Generally, it's linked from your menu or from your main site. These are all kind of static things. These are somewhat, if you would say, evergreen. Okay, these are things that you would, if you had, if there were changes, you wouldn't make a new about page. You would keep the URL the same. You might edit the page. So if you changed your company, what services your company offers, you would edit the services page. You might make a whole new layout or a whole new thing, but it would still be yourcompany.com/services. You wouldn't make something else. Okay? The structure should remain consistent, because it's where people are going to keep coming back to find information about your website, even if, or your company, or whatever you're interested in, even if the information changes, you want the page to remain the same. Okay? Posts are articles, news, or other timely content, right? Blog posts, news, articles about whatever, in the same way like if you had a magazine, if you had like a newspaper, those would be the articles in the newspaper. Those would be your posts. If you had a blog, your individual blog entries would be your posts, okay? An important thing about posts, and this is, people have asked me about this a lot, posts should generally not be edited or modified after you post, okay? Now, this is not, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's best practices. And what I mean by that is that, so let's say you have a blog, and you posted something, and you've made a mistake. Well, of course, you're going to go back and you're going to change that, right? A lot of times, people will, if they edit a mistake, for instance, let's say you say, this is your article, say, okay, we're having an open house this weekend, and it starts at 11 o'clock. And then your partner says, no, it's 12 o'clock. What are you talking about? And you say, okay, I go back into the post, and I'm going to change it. But you would say, I just note that this post has been changed, because people are going to go, did I, people expect that the content that you put there is not going to change. Now, if something happens like a week or two later down the line, people might want to say, instead of, if the information is changed and it wasn't a mistake or something, you might just make another post instead of editing that post, okay? So the content kind of flows in posts, and it's basically the way that it works. Okay. As I've said and I've told you before, I'm not the WordPress police. You can manage your site however you like. This is generally what's considered to be best practice. In a post, if things change, or you have updates or additions, generally it's better just to make a new post, and say, this is updates or whatever. Yes?
Is it possible to take, let's say, a series of related posts of the same category and have WordPress move them into its own page?
Yes. So there are a lot of different ways to work with categories and there are a lot of different ways to work with content in WordPress. Okay. One of the things we talk about, which is covered much more in the content management class, which comes after this, are what's called taxonomies. Okay. Basically, it's a way to classify content on your website, posts and pages. So posts most, no, pages don't really taxonomies. So for instance, let's say you have a site that's about recipes, and you have recipes that are vegan recipes, and you want to put them on. They're all categorized as vegan, all right? And you want to put them all on a certain page. There's some code. There are different ways to do that. So for instance, the WordPress itself will create a pseudo page for your category, which you can certainly link to. But if you wanted, sometimes people like to make the page, like they want to have their vegan recipes page. They don't want just to have the vegan recipes. They want to say, okay, we're going to have, I'm going to tell you a little something about my vegan recipes and what these are, or whatever, and then we're going to show you all of them. And there are ways to do that with various add-ons and plugins or code. So there are ways to do that. If you classify your content properly and then set up your website, once you make a new post, and you put the classifications in, it will go where it's supposed to go without any further intervention from you. Okay, so starting to get a little further in here. So themes and plugins. This is something we've discussed, I kind of alluded to a bunch earlier when we talked about updates and things. What are themes, what are plugins, how can you use them, and whatever. So this is just a general overview. There's a lot to be said about this. There really is I could teach the whole class just about this. There's a lot of stuff to go over, but we want to just kind of hit the highlights here. Okay. So a theme, we know how important our themes are. Themes define the look and performance of visual elements of your site. What does that mean? That means that the design of your site is controlled by the theme. How different things work on your website is controlled by the theme. Themes are not the be-all and end-all of design. They are the beginning of the design. Okay? A lot of people will look at, there's a site called Theme Forest, which is run by a company called Envato, and they sell a lot of these themes. And you can look and you can see there's a theme for everything. I mean, if you have like a bakery and you go on the website and you say, search for bakery themes, there are bakery themes. Or if there are themes for all different types of industries, and you look and you say, oh, this really looks awesome. But a lot of times what they're giving you is basically fugazi. It doesn't really exist. To actually make your website look like that, that's all they're giving you is the tools. They're basically saying, I've ordered a lasagna and they shipped you noodles and sauce and some cheese and an instruction manual and here's your lasagna, So you're like, what do I do with this? I'm hungry. No, you got to cook it first. All right. So some themes are a little bit better out of the box than others. It's important to whatever. But this is the basic idea of what a theme is. You can change by changing the theme. You can change the look and the performance of your website drastically. With just a couple of clicks, the website will look completely different. There are a lot of things that are controlled by the theme. For instance, we're talking about blog posts and pages. How the posts show up on the page is controlled by the theme. Some themes show, might for instance show like a link to comments. Some won't. Some will show you how many people have read that post. Some won't. Some will tell you who wrote that post. Some won't. Some will put the featured image for that post above the title. Some will put it below. Some won't show it at all. So there's a lot of very basic things that are controlled by themes that you need to investigate, right? And so you can get themes in a lot of different places. WordPress.org has free themes, okay? So, again, free is a relative term. As we discussed earlier about things that are free, a lot of the things that you get on WordPress.org are light versions of things that people would like to sell you the full version of. So always be careful about that. So if you can go to WordPress.org/themes. It'll show you all these themes. But for a lot of them that are, these companies will make a light version of their theme that they want to sell you, and they'll be limited in some way. You may not be able to change the colors. You may not have certain layout options. There may be other things that they don't give you. And so if you want those things, then you have to go to their website and buy the pro version. If you don't want those things, then you can just use the light version and it's fine. A lot of companies don't bother with that and they're happy to use that. WordPress itself comes with fully featured free themes that you can use and that do have a lot of whatever. So basically every year, WordPress comes out, every year since 2010, WordPress is coming out with a default theme that they ship with WordPress that you can use and that is fully featured. And it is designed to show off basically the features of WordPress, the new features of WordPress for that year. Right now, if you install WordPress, it comes with 2017. The 2018 theme is not really that great. I think anyone's really using it. 2017 is kind of interesting, and it's kind of has a nice cover page, which is very popular in themes nowadays. If you go a little bit older, some of those older themes are really quite nice. I mean, a lot of people are still using those themes, or use those themes as a basis for their own design. So they may take, as I said, when we talked about free, those themes are free. Everything from WordPress is free. So a lot of people have taken those basic designs provided by WordPress for free and basically just put their own design on top of it. And then this is their website. And some of them look quite nice. Yes.
Theme and a template, the same thing?
It's similar. So some themes also have templates, right? Some themes, like Divi or Elementor or some of the page builder type themes, will also have templates that are built in that you can say, okay, now this is my basic theme, which out of the box doesn't look like anything. And then you have to install a template on top of the theme. So sometimes there are themes for the theme that are also, sometimes they're free and sometimes you pay for. But the key thing to remember is that this is what controls the look of your website, and you can literally change the whole look of your website in one go. I just recently did it for a client. They had a website that was kind of broken because their theme was kind of broken, because the theme also controls a lot of things involved. There's a lot of code in there. So they have an e-commerce website. It wasn't working right, in part because the theme was outdated, and when we tried to update the theme, everything broke. So I had to create a new theme, which looked, because they like to look at their old theme, it didn't work right, which looked almost exactly like their old theme, only using a newer, more modern piece of software underneath it. And once we went to the new piece of software, it looked not exactly the same, but very close. But then all of the e-commerce stuff worked, and there were no issues with it anymore. So a bad theme or a broken theme or an outdated theme can affect things more than just the look of the site. Like I said, the e-commerce part did not work properly. WooCommerce kept yelling at me, telling me that there were outdated things. Okay. So, apart from themes, there are also plugins. Okay. So, what's a plugin? So, theme design is more about design, right? There are some kind of code and things in that take me inside a theme, but there's the idea is that a theme should not control so much how much your site functions. It should mostly control how your site looks. A plugin controls how your site functions. And here's just an example of a bunch of different things that you can do: search engine optimization, security, commerce. I don't have e-commerce and e-commerce on here for some reason. I don't really know why. Backups. There are performance things that you can do with plugins, which can add ways to speed up your website and make it more responsive. Enhancement of the look of your website. There's a lot of different things you can get plugins that will change the way things look. Forms. Forms are very important. One of my favorite pieces of software for WordPress is called Gravity Forms. And in a lot of ways, it's almost like a development environment on its own. You say, oh, it's just a form. But the fact is that it lets you do things like have conditional statements on the form, or if someone types in this, then I'm going to ask you that question. It can be, you can use it for a lot of different things. In fact, I use that for, I don't have an e-commerce plugin on my particular website, on website for my company, but I do take payments, and the way I do it is by using Gravity forms. I just send people to the form, they fill out the form, and then you type in your credit card number, and then they can pay me. Analytics and tracking. Something that we talked about a little bit, Google Analytics is really important. There are other analytics. There are analytics that come with, if you install Jetpack, which isn't on this. Jetpack is another thing that comes from the WordPress hive mind. So they really want you to install Jetpack. There are a lot of advantages to it. It has a lot of stuff built into it. It has forms. It has suggested next post. It has some sort of caching. It has analytics and whatever. It lets you log into your WordPress website using your, even if you have a WordPress.org website, it lets you log in using your WordPresscom credentials. It lets you, edit your website on the WordPress app. So it's great, but I never use it on any of my websites because I think it's just, it's very bloated and junky. But a lot of people still like it and think I'm wrong. So, maybe I am. Analytics and tracking is very important for any website. Honestly, if you don't know how many people are coming to your website, you're really kind of out in the dark. You don't have no idea what's working for you, what's not, what pages people are looking at, whatever. I was talking about the e-commerce website that I just set up. We got their analytics up and working about a month ago, and I just sent them a list of the top 50 products that people visit. And I'm like, here's top 50 products. You should look at all these products and just try and figure out how we can increase conversions. That's where you should devote your time, because people are going to these pages, but they're not necessarily buying. So you should think about why that is. What you want to add some different descriptions. Do you want to tweak the price a little bit? Do you want to add more photos? Do you want to whatever? But that tells me, instead of like going willy-nilly saying, oh, I'm going to look at this page and I'll look at that page, it tells you which pages people think are important and which ones you should look at. Analytics are very important. Forums, anti-spam, page building. So basically, there's a whole lot of different kind of plugins, and you can get them a lot of different places. You can get them from WordPress.org, as we've discussed before. Just a place like you can get themes. You can also get plugins there. Again, some of those plugins are kind of a light version. They may want to upsell you their pro version, which has extra features. May do extra things or whatever. There's also what I told you about Theme Forest. They also have that same company runs a website called Code Canyon, where you can buy themes for that. This is software you install on your website, the same way you would install software on your computer. And we'll evaluate it in that way. Is it good software? Is it safe? Look for reviews. Look to see what the reports are on, and look to see it. WordPress especially, look to see how recently it's been updated. Sometimes plugins just get abandoned. Something hasn't been updated in over a year. You probably want to think maybe that's not something for me, because you don't want to rely on that and then have it be outdated and not work with the latest version of WordPress. So I have issues with that with some old websites that I have, but the plugins haven't updated in a long time. So I just want to talk real quick about widgets. I don't really know where to put this widgets thing, but it's something that a lot of people don't really understand. So I just want to talk about it quick. This is a little screenshot of my website. I was talking about my football website. So this is the front page of it, the blog part of it, not the forum part. But you can see over here there are different widget areas that are defined for this theme, and different themes will have different widget areas. Okay, some will have a lot of widget areas. So like some might have footer and header. This one actually has ones that aren't activated here. So there are widget areas up here. There are widget areas in there. They're just not activated. And what widget areas are basically areas of your web page where you can stick additional code using the widget management area on your dashboard. Okay, so if I have a widget area here, I could say, okay, I'm going to put a box here. I'll put a little ad here. There are all sorts of different types of code that you can stick in there. There are social media stuff that you can put in there. There are basically any kind of plugin that you might want. You can have some sort of area for the widgets where you can add stuff. So the advantage of this is like you can, so for instance, if you do have a blog, you can put in your widget area and your little sidebar, you can say, okay, here are my archives, here's my social media, here's some suggested posts, here's some comments, so there's all sorts of things you can do with it. So widget basically lets you add code to parts of the website, to the page that are defined as widget areas. And in fact, some themes are built around this whole idea of the widget area, and that's how they do a page. So, for instance, they might have, okay, I have a page here, I have this first column is 3 widgets, and then this row is also 2 widgets, this one is 1 big widget, and then you just go in the widget areas and go, okay, this piece of code goes there, this piece of code goes here. It's a much simpler way to kind of do page layout than actually having a whole full-on page builder. Basically, it's just widgetized layouts. So that's basically what widgets are. Widgets are little pieces of software that you stick in your website. They show up in different parts. Okay, so we're making good time. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Does Google view websites differently as far as criteria and where they place? I know Google has all this criteria of a .org site versus a .com site.
Well, Google probably doesn't really care that much about that. It's hard to know what Google likes and what Google doesn't like. People who work in search engine optimization are just kind of, because they don't tell you. Or they'll tell you, Google will tell you, but they don't always tell you the truth. Right? So they have different things. Google always is changing its algorithm on a fairly regular basis. And for people who work in the search engine optimization industry, their whole idea is to basically try and understand what's going on there and how to give it. Okay. At the end of the day, the whole point of Google is to see, does your page give a good answer to the question that the person asked in their Google search, right? So if you're asking, what's the best WordPress theme to use for e-commerce, right? Which is a pretty generic thing. So that's something a lot of people would like to rank for. So the question is, how is that going to, how does this page answer that question? So, and then Google has a lot of things they've added on to their user interface, which kind of get, add and subtract. And so for instance, one of my clients is an adoption agency, and if you type in how to adopt from Thailand, they're one of the top rated things, and they're actually the Google snippet. So like in Google, when you search for something, there's often a snippet that you can just hit the down and actually will give you the answer right on the page. And so that's all based on providing good content, providing a good answer that people will like, and then trying to get people to come to the page. Google looks at that. They look at whether people go to your web page, whether they get their answer, and how much time they spend there. If you go to a website, if you do a Google search, you look at the answer, you click at the answer, you go to the website, and you go, oh, this stinks. I go right back to Google. I'm going to look for something else. Google remembers that. They go, someone went, they looked for this information, they looked for this question, someone went to the web page, and they were 5 seconds later, they were back here looking for a better answer. It means that wasn't a good answer, at least not for that person, right? So if we get a bunch of those, then Google goes, I'm going to drop this ranking down. It's not obviously it's not answering people's questions, right? So the whole point of Google is to try and get people to, to get good answers for people. And, serve them ads. But,
Does Google know where those people are coming from?
Well, as far as what?
IP addresses?
Yeah, they track everything, yeah. And in fact, by putting Google Analytics on your website, they're looking at that as well. So now you've given them permission to look at how people surf your website, which can certainly be good, right? If people are coming to your website, hanging out there for a long time, looking at that page, then Google's going to say, hey, this is a good page. This has good answers on it. This has good value. This has good content. Okay. There are a lot of technical things that go along with being a Google search ranking. There are things like how to structure your page, where things are on the page, what the title of the page are, and those things can be important. But good content is also very important. And I would say probably mobile. If you start answering people's questions, then, you know, I mean, part of how to structure your page is to try and figure out what questions are people trying to answer by coming to you. What questions are you trying to have people answer, right? And so that's something you should think about when you put that information in the title, right? You know, so if you have a page or a blog post about, you know, carving scary pumpkins, or like, you know, what's the scariest pumpkin, or what's an easy pumpkin project for my 3-year-old, you know, what's an easy pumpkin project, but the title of your page is just scary pumpkins, or I love pumpkins, or whatever. You have to, Google wants to help people find your page if it has a good answer, but you have to help, right? It's not, it needs to understand what questions people are asking when they're coming to get to your page. You want to put that in there and make sure that they understand it, so you can start to build that traffic and keep those good answers and get traffic to your website and, you know, make money. So this is the WordPress dashboard. Once you log into your WordPress, this is what the back end looks like. Okay, so this is the left. Okay, and so what I normally like to do here is I like to log into the website, log into WordPress, and just show you a little bit about how things work on the back end, for those of you who haven't seen it. So this is a basic website, which is which I literally created this morning, just with a couple of clicks. So this is out of the box what WordPress would probably look like, mostly, whatever. So there's nothing there. I think this is the 2018. And now they're starting to give us the 2018 theme as so to log in, you go to your website, and then you go WP-admin. Okay? Almost all WordPress websites, that's how you're going to log in. This is how you log in the dashboard. Whatever your website name is, /WP-admin. And then this is the login. You type in your username. So we talked about security. Okay? One of the ways that you enforce security, not only with a good password, but you're going to use a good username. And by good username, I mean don't use admin as the username. I think that nowadays most installers know not to prompt that as the default, but some still do. I think mine still does. So it wants you to be like, you know, to create the first administrative user, it wants it to be admin. So why shouldn't we use admin? Because admin is used everywhere, and it's the way to, you know, every bot that comes along is going to try and hack the admin account. So if you don't have an admin account, that's a good way to kind of like figure out who the bad guys are, right? If you don't have an admin account on your website and someone's trying to log in using admin, you can set rules up in your security plugin to automatically block them, because they're obviously naughty people. And you don't want that in your website. So this is the one I normally use for a lot of my clients. Password, I don't remember what it was.
What does PCQB mean?
It doesn't mean anything. Just to be clear, it could mean professional computer quality of Babylon, but it doesn't really mean that. Many years ago, I was back in the 90s when I was doing websites. There used to be a site called deleteddomains.com. After the first .com crash, a lot of domains basically came on the market for free, right? Back in this is like late 90s. And so I used to go on this website every day and see if there was anything interesting. So I bought some 4-letter domains because I'm like, who knows what I'll use them for? Never know. I've actually had Chinese people try to buy this from me. There's apparently something about the combination of characters that means something lucky in Chinese. I bought this domain, and then, so several years ago, I was like, I wanted to kind of rebrand a little bit, and I said, maybe I'll just use this. It's still kind of very corporate, you know? Doesn't mean anything. I mean, a lot of things don't mean anything. AT&T doesn't mean anything anymore. It used to mean American Telephone and Telegraph. Now it just means nothing. It means AT&T. or KFC doesn't mean Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore, it just means KFC. So I said, well, we'll just start from that. Doesn't mean anything. And I like it because it's a 4-letter domain name. It makes you look a little bit more high end, I think. So it doesn't mean anything, but it's that's the name of my company, PCQB, WordPress Solutions. And this is also one of the things I'll tell you about the password manager and how you should use these random passwords and whatever. But there are times when that's not going to work. For instance, I'm not going to log into my password manager on this machine. No offense to the SBDC, but I don't know where it's been and who's been on it. So I'm not going to install my password manager on this. And if I use some sort of really random weird thing and I had to type it in, we could be here all day. Some of the random ones are like, uppercase, lowercase, then left paren, right paren, number, this, that, the other thing, and then if you don't have the ability to copy and paste, so sometimes you have to kind of improvise. One of the things I like to use for these type of passwords where I know I'm going to have to type it in is that I pick 2 4-letter words that are randomly chosen, and then I randomly capitalize some of the letters, and then I add some numbers at the end, and then generally a non-alphanumeric character. So it's not the strongest password you could possibly get, but there's enough degrees of randomness in it that it's probably okay for just about anything that you're really going to need. So that's not a bad thing. Pick a word, pick 2 words, do some random capitalization, maybe in the middle somewhere, where whatever, so that you put some, and then some numbers at the end, maybe 2 or 3 numbers, and then an alphanumeric. And it's something you can remember. If it's something you can remember, then it's easy. Don't use your pet's name. Don't use your daughter's name. I'm sure you love your pet and your daughter, as I do love my pets and my daughter. But I don't. Those names should not be used in your password.
Is there any non-alpha character that you shouldn't use, like pound sign?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that WordPress has any restriction. So I think you can use any character you like. Obviously, other websites have different restrictions, and so that's obviously an issue sometimes. Some websites are their restrictions on what you're allowed to use are fairly arbitrary, right? They may use a length. It can't be this long. It can't be this short. It can't be, you have to use this, that, the other thing. You can't use that, or some characters it doesn't allow. Spaces you shouldn't use. And I don't know if that's not obvious to people, but don't use spaces. Everything else you can probably feel. Okay. So this is the brand new WordPress dashboard. Okay. This is brand new. We haven't installed anything on it, and we can just kind of like click around and see what things are. So we talked a little bit about. Do we have any specific questions that they would like answered? We're just going to randomly go through this. Okay. So we talked a little bit about themes. So to get to themes, we want to go to.
Is this actually a website right now?
Yes, this is a live website out on the internet that I created just this morning for this class. So it's sandbox.pcqb.com, and it'll probably go away sometime later on today. So, it's so there's nothing. So this is normally what it's going to look like when it comes out of the box. Okay. So like we talked about themes. So now this is the 2019 theme. This is WordPress's new theme for how to, for that focuses on their new things for this year, which includes Gutenberg, which I'm not really going to talk about so much, but we'll go to the media in a second. But this is, so like if I wanted to, I could immediately change this theme to this one. So like we can see, hang on a second. All right, so this is the website, what it looks like. All right, and then if we go to appearance and themes, And we go to the 27th, so now if we go to this theme, we'll say, okay, we're going to activate this theme. Now we have changed the look of the site. We go back here. We reload. See, now it's a different website. Right? All we've done is change the theme. All the content's the same. It still says it's test website, my WordPress blog, right? It still has this, but you can see that this layout is different. Now we have the sidebar, but we didn't have a sidebar before. The text looks different. So we've changed everything. All we've done is just change the theme. Right, and this is a fairly minor change because these are all the basic themes that come with WordPress.
If you have a lot of content and you do that, could it hose things up a little?
It depends. It can. I'm going to say that it can. I gave the example of the e-commerce website that I recently did. There was a lot of content there. They have thousands of part numbers, thousands of SKUs, plus dozens and dozens of pages. And we did the update. Everything was okay. There were really no issues. I mean, I had to test it first, right? So if you're going to do something like that, where you have a big website and you're going to change the themes because I want to change the design, you definitely don't want to do it for the first time live on your main site because it can definitely break things. So you want to make a copy of your website, do it on that, and then test it and see what it looks like, and tweak it, and then do it on the main site. It tells me here, see, look, I activated the new theme, whatever. These are the themes that are installed. And we could try this other one, or if we wanted to add themes, whatever. So let's look a little bit at the content. That's usually what people are kind of more interested in. So, all right, now I've done this, how am I going to make a post? So, this is the basic. Let me what's the line? So this is the basic interface for adding content to WordPress. Okay? This is what's known as the classic editor. Okay? This WordPress website has no plugins installed except for the classic editor. And the classic editor basically overrides the brand new editor that WordPress is developing, which in my opinion is not ready for prime time and you should not use it, called Gutenberg. But if we come to the next class, we'll cover Gutenberg a little bit. But this is the basic idea of it. So if you want to make a new post, you go here, here's the title. So we can say, all right, okay, that's the title of the post. And we'll put some text in here. And that's, you can put whatever you like in there. There are two modes in the editor for WordPress, for the classic editor. You can see here we are in this tab. If you look over here, we are in the visual tab. And the visual tab lets us kind of edit things as if this was kind of like a Word document, right? So you can, I can go over here and I can say, all right, I'm going to jump is really important, so I'm going to make that bold. You can see here it comes out bold. I can go over here and I can add a link. Go to lazy dog. I'm going to make that a link. Add a link. Just link to some random website. And you can go to link options here. You can say,
Do you have to have, are you posting into a widget?
no, this is a post. So we're making a new post. Remember we talked about pages and posts? So this is a post. So we're making a new post.
Could you also link to another page? With
Yes, you can link. So you can link. So this linking icon here lets you link to anything. You can link to anything on the web. So you can link to things that are on your website. You can link to the other websites. You can link pages to other websites. You can link whatever you like. And there's just some basic formatting options here. So we have bold, we have italics, we have bullet points, we have formatting left, right, center. This is a block quote, so if you're quoting something. And then you can add more stuff. If this is not enough, you can go to the toolbar toggle, and you can get a few more things here where it will tell you underlining, symbols, indents, strike through, some other stuff. So it gives you some options. So this is the WYSIWYG editor, right? What you're doing here, you'll kind of see what it's going to look like. Not exactly, right? Because it's going to depend a lot on what your theme is, how it handles some of those things. So for instance, here we see lazy dog. There's this underline because it's a link, right? But if your website is set up to have links not be underlined when you're doing it on the website, it won't be underlined. Or if you have the link set up to be a different color, then you'll see that only on the page. You won't see it here. So this just gives you a general idea. It's not completely WYSIWYG. It's what I used to call SLYZZYWYG. Something like what you see is what you get, but it's enough to give you an idea. So this is that part. And then if you want to kind of see what the actual code is, you can switch over to this other tab here, which is the text tab. And now it's showing me, now this is the actual code that it's going to post on your website when you make a post. So you can see here I made jumped bold, and so here it's telling me, okay, bold, jumped is strong, that's how we make these bold. And here is the code for the link, which we linked to CNN.com. It's telling me, here's where we're linking to, the target equals underscore blank, which means we're going to open it in a new window, rel equals no opener, which is the thing that WordPress adds now, whatever. And then here's some other code, because we've added some spaces and some character returns. Okay? So there are a lot of things you can do with this. You can add media. We go back to the visual. No. So there's no media in here. So we could add media if we had some images. So you can always just go, if you want to add an image, we'll just go to this is a good website to get free images from. A word about images. You're going to use images. This is something we cover a little bit more on the content thing. Images should be one of these things, one of these three things. Images that you personally have taken, okay? Images you have personally taken, you can use. Images that you have paid somebody else to take and that you have the rights to use, okay? Just because you paid someone else to take these pictures doesn't mean you necessarily have the rights to use them, okay? Copyright is retained by the photographer unless they give you rights to use them. So just because you paid them to take pictures doesn't mean you can use them on your website unless you have an agreement saying that you in fact do have that, you can in fact use them on your website. Images that you have paid for from a pay service, like deposit photos, stock photos, something like that, okay? Or images that are from a website that is explicitly listed as free, like Pixabay, okay? You may not use random images that you find in Google Images. Those are not free. They are not for you to use. And if you use images that you have taken from some other website or from Google Images or some other place, you could get sued.
Can you use your own pictures though?
Yes, of course. Any pictures that you take yourself, you may use. They are yours. They belong to you, right? So, any pictures that you take or, your employees take, as long as they, whatever. It's for a small website. It's not something that I'm normally concerned about. What I'm mostly telling people is do not just take pictures randomly from the internet and use them on your website. Yes.
How do you bring your image into there?
Well, what you would do is you would. So
Your
let's say, okay, so anywhere where there's an image on the internet, you have to save. Let me show you. So let's say I want to take one of these pictures. Let's take the skateboard guy. Okay, so this is, so here we go. This tells me here, here's this picture. It's nice. You have a free download. So let's download this picture. And it's giving me some options here. We'll take a small version. Okay. So here in this post, we're going to add media. This is your media. Now, if you had any media installed on your that was on your website, you would see a list of it here. But we don't have anything here, so we're just going to go, okay, we're going to select files. And this is from your, this is from things that are on your computer now. So here's a list of things that are in this download directory. Okay, so we have some different things, whatever, we have some PDFs, we have some Excel files, we don't want any of those. We do have the ski race, which we just downloaded, so we're going to use that.
Yeah.
And we go open. And we're going to go over here and we're going to say, okay, we're going to make this alignment, we're going to make this centered, link to none, and we're going to use the full size, and we're going to insert it into post. So here it
Is
is.
there a specific DPI or size image?
It all depends. So it depends on what you want to use it for, right? So how big is the image going to be? So a normal HD screen is 1920 by 1080, right? So if you have something that you think is going to go across the entire screen, you'd want it to be roughly that size. You want it to be 1900 pixels, 2000 pixels. If it's going to be half the size, then you use half the screen. A lot of stuff about images is also about aspect ratio. So this one is, you can see this is kind of has a more rectangular format, which is nice for these type of thing, for kind of like blog posts and things. But it's all going to depend. So you want to have bigger is always better. Generally, you know, as long as it's not huge and takes up a huge amount of space and therefore makes your page bog down and get and download slowly. And so let's scroll down. So we added a picture. Let's add a category. And so we're going to just say this is test. So categories are important. We talked a little bit about taxonomies. When you're making posts or other types of content that use categories, generally categories you want to pick categories. You want to pick a limited set of categories that you're going to use on your website. Okay? They kind of classify your content in important ways, and so you don't want to just willy-nilly keep making more and more categories. You want to kind of think about how your site is organized, what kind of content is going to go on there, and so how to categorize it. Right? So it works. Right? We just land up a random thing. So if you have your website is recipes, like I said, you know, you can have vegan can be a category. You can have categories, subcategories. So you can have vegan, and then desserts could be under vegan. You know, vegan desserts, people who are into that sort of thing. So categories are just one way to classify your website, classify the content on your website. And it makes it easy for people to find the things they're looking for, and it also makes it easier to kind of set up your website if you have different types of content or different classifications of content that are going to go on different pages and that you want to direct people to. So tags are kind of like categories, only you don't necessarily, every post or similar type of content has to have a category. You have to have at least one. You can have more than one. You can have as many as you like, but you have to have at least one. Tags, you don't have to have any. Tags are kind of like similar to hashtags in Twitter. They're a way to classify content to kind of help people find things which may be more specific than you would want to put in a category. So, you know, if you had vegan and you had desserts, and then, you know, I don't know, just maybe you had this dessert was spicy, you know, maybe you want to put a spicy tag in there, right? Or if it was fun or easy, you know, something like that. They're kind of ways for people to help people find content, and also to help classify the content as far as Google goes and that sort of thing. So you can just put anything you want here, that you want. You just add it, whatever. And the last thing I want to talk about here is featured image. So we added an image in the body, right? But that's not the featured image. each post should have, for best practice, should have a featured image, and that's basically kind of like the cover image for the post. It basically tells us, what the image is about. When you post it on Facebook, that's the image that goes along with it, or post it on Twitter. So here we can do set featured image. Let's download a different picture. Here we can go set featured image. See, now that we've added this picture of the skier is now in our media library. So if we want to use the skier picture in another post for some reason, we can just go say, hey, now we're gonna throw that skier in there. I don't have to re-upload it, right? But we don't want to use that. We want to use we want to use the other picture that we got. So we're going to go to upload files, select files, and here's the. And now we're done with this. We're going to publish it. We'll do a reload on the page, and we can see here, this is our new post that we made.
You publish it for free?
What?
You say you were gonna publish the picture.
Yeah, so now it's published. What?
You have to pay to publish the picture.
No, this is a free picture that I got from this website called Pixabay. So Pixabay is a nice website. There really is a lot of free picture there. In fact, even though I have accounts on Deposit Photos and a couple other stock photo sites, I often use Pixabay photos because they're nicer. They're often fairly nice.
Is
Yeah.
this the home page?
So this is the home page. So in WordPress, right, so this is the home page. When you come to the home page, this is what you see. I don't know why I'm seeing that thing. Anyway, when you come to the home page, this is what you see. You see this cover photo, you see.
And then when you scroll down.
And then you scroll down, then your first page is the blog, are your blog posts. Now most people don't want this nowadays, even though this is kind of like the default. So what you would do is you would create a new page and make that your home page. And then you can edit that and then make the blog page some other page, Yes, ma'am?
When I create new pages, that's just switch the blocks editor and make it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't show up as a category on top. It's just not on the.
You mean in the menu?
Yeah, in the menu.
Okay, so if you want to add things into your menu, you go here to Appearance Menus, and here's your menus. So you can create a new menu. So like some themes are set up that they will automatically add new pages to your menu as you make a new page. That's actually not a good way to do it. You want to do your own menu. So you would create a new menu. All right, I don't really have any pages here to really use, but create a menu. And then, so like here, you can say automatically add top pages to the menu, which we don't really want to do that. And you can go over and you can add anything to the menu, right? So we can add the sample page to the menu. You can add a post to the menu. And you can save the menu. And then you go over here to menu locations. And then you can say, all right, well, the top menu is going to use this. Nope, this. And then if we go back to the test website, do reload. You can see here's this menu. So this is the way the menu is set up here. So menus are similar, are often, like we talked a little bit about widgets, how each theme has its own way to manage and deal with widgets. Menus are similar. Each theme has its own way that it deals with menus, where the menus are, what things are, how does it display them. So this is a fairly simple way, right? It just shows it right there. But a lot of times there may be menus all the way up at the top. Sometimes there are fixed menus. I mean, you've seen menus on whatever. So that's what this is. This is a menu. And you can tell it, so in WordPress you create the menu by adding, it's basically just a list of links, and then you can have sub-menus and whatever. And then you tell it which of the menu areas this menu belongs to. So there can be header menus and footer menus and all sorts of different kind of places where people use menus. And in fact, menus are a very useful thing in WordPress because you can use them in other places as well. You can put a menu in a widget and have it be like a list of links. There's all sorts of fun things that you can do with them. It's a great tool to use if you're basically creating lists of links, but it's also useful just for making them. Anything else? Yes, sir.
That theme picture, can you change that, or is that?
Yes. So this is a little bit more advanced. Which this is a customizer. See up here where it says customize? Now we're really cooking with gas. Okay. Okay, so here's the header image. We can add a new image. Make that our image. Publish. So the customizer is something that's built into WordPress, and there's really a lot the customizer it's something fun to play with. If you have like a website that you're not that you're just playing around with. And there's a lot of things in the customizer, and this is going to depend also on what theme you have. A lot of the options, the theme options, are going to be in this customizer, and you can change them here, and you can see the changes as you're making them. Right? So like I just changed the header image here and published it. So now our image is not that picture of a plant anymore. It's just rather attractive scene right here. So you can do things like some things that you can do from the dashboard. You can also do from the customizer, and it gives you the option to kind of see things. You can see widgets. You can change the widgets from here. You can change the way that the website works. This is homepage settings, so we talked about how now our homepage is set to be your latest post. It's a blog, but we can just set it to be a static page here, and then we can create a page and make that our main page of the site. Yes, sir?
Just wanted to be clear on the cost. The WordPress.org is free.
Right.
The domain name, is that a one-time cost?
No, that's a yearly cost. So just So the service that I use to buy domain names is called namecheap.com. So depending on what kind of domain name you buy, it depends on the cost. So .com names are like $12, $13 a year, something like that. .org are a little bit more expensive. .net I think are around the same. And then there's all of the other kind of alternate, what they call top-level domains. .us, .co, there's like a million of them now. It's like .business, .pizza. We normally use any of those. Ooh, excuse me.
What's the name of it?
Namecheap.com.
And then the hosting is an ongoing.
Hosting is, yes. So depending on who you buy your hosting from, you can get hosting is as low as like $3, $4 a month, up to whatever you want to pay, depending on how big your website is. But you can certainly get, you can A2, which is one of the companies that I recommend, has a, if you buy yearly, it's like $360 something a month if you buy yearly. Yes, ma'am.
So, say for example, a freelancer or a freelancer prepares your website. How would you access the back-end information to manage your website?
So if someone created a website for you, how would you assess it?
Right.
How would I personally assess it? I would want to see, what their code looked like and how they did it and how they put it together. I want to see how things are organized. I mean, that's a fairly complex topic, right? So how did they do it? Important things that you do when someone is making a website for you, you want to make sure that it looks good, on different devices, right? That's tremendously important. So if you have a website that doesn't look good on mobile, more than half of all web traffic now is on phones. So, Google itself will give you now, when they rank things on what they call mobile first ranking. So they're going to look at your website. When they look at your website to see how it ranks, they're going to look at it as based on how it would look on a phone first. So that's important. It's important that You know, that when someone builds a website for you, what tools did they use, you know? Especially if they're using like a template that they bought from somebody, make sure you have a license for that template so that you can get updates. You know, hiring a freelancer as a business owner, hiring a web freelancer is really difficult because there are a lot of people out there. And there are a lot of people out there who are not really programmers, they're not really developers, they're basically just salesmen or saleswomen. And they want to come to you and they want to sell you a website, which is the same website they've sold to dozens of other people. And it's basically a package which may be customized lightly for your specific use case. Perhaps the work is done somewhat by a group of people who do not live in this country, which is, I have no objection to that, but often it's, you know, the work can be of low quality, and then once it's done, a lot of times these people disappear. That's certainly one of the ways that one of the things that I do in my business is that I deal with a lot of that, where people have a website that was made and then the person who made it is nowhere to be found, and so I fix it for them. But you know, it's difficult. It's difficult. One of the things about this is just kind of, now you can kind of see that you've taken this class, kind of what goes into making a website, right? If you want to make your own website, there's more work to be done, right? I've given you kind of the basics. So now you can go online, you have some idea of what's involved. There are plenty of tutorials, there are plenty of video tutorials. If you go here, the follow-up class is